3 of your red prayer book with Hine Ma Tov.
Hine Ma Tov u'manayim Shevet achim gam yachad. Hine Ma Tov u'manayim Shevet achim gam yachad. גם יחד, הנה מה טוב, שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומנעים, 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 שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב.
Here we go. Hine Ma Tov u'manayim Shevet achim gam yachad.
הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
All right, let's hear it, everybody. Shabbat Shalom.
There we go.
Pretty good. Okay, our digital viewers, Shabbat Shalom. Very good. Sammy, Shabbat Shalom. Very good. All right, friends. We are here for a joyous occasion, which is not just a Shabbat service, but a bat mitzvah. Sammy, the goal today is not to do anything with perfection, although we want you to do the best that you can. It's for you to connect, to be present enough to connect to something bigger than yourself. And Sammy's challenge, by the way, is a challenge for all of us. Can we, in this time together, connect to something bigger than we are? Our parents, our ancestors, the Torah, God, our souls. Can we, in this time, connect? Sammy, your job is just to lead us. And you don't have to do it perfectly. Just lead us. Just do the best you can. We're all going to do the best that we can so that we can be here with truth, so that we can pray with truth, so that we can connect with truth, so that we can hope with truth. We want to welcome everybody in person and our digital viewers. We talked about the Red Sea door underneath your chair. You'll see, if you open it up, on the right is Hebrew, on the left is English, and in the middle is transliteration. Use whatever one of those that you're most comfortable with. When you see italics in the reading, that means it's our turn. We're all going to chime in, usually with Sammy leading us for a responsive reading. I'm Rabbi Spike Anderson. Next to me is Cantor Lorna Desnick. I think everybody here knows Sammy. Take a moment or two or three and turn to the people around you, behind you, in front of you. Hello, my name is. Nice to see you. Ask me about my cat. Really, turn. Reach across the aisle, whatever you need to do. Let's take a moment. Phil and Erica, wave to your people.
הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב, יא לה 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 לה. הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב, יא לה 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 לה. הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד.
Okay, Sammy, I'm going to call up your parents, Erica and Phil, to come on up to the bima. This whole service, this whole ritual is a rite of passage. the rite of passage by which you become a Jewish adult, Sammy, going from being a Jewish girl in 90 minutes to being a Jewish adult. It's like abracadabra, you'll be there. There are signposts along the way. One of them is your talit. And the tradition is that the month before, the week before, even the day before, you're not allowed to publicly wear a tallis because you're a kid. But now, as an outward sign of your transitioning into Jewish adulthood before our eyes, your parents are going to present you with a tallis, an outward sign of being a Jewish adult, for you to wear at services as a sign that you are part of the adult Jewish community. So, Erica and Phil, you'll find your talit blessing on page 5. It is also on one of the printouts right up there.
As this talit is draped around your shoulders, may the voices of the generations speak to you. May you know that there is a people, a rich heritage to which you belong, a sacred place from which you are connected to all who dwell on earth.
As you are embraced in the folds of this talit, so too are you wrapped in the loving embrace of your family, community, and this holy congregation. May the simplest of garments always be for you a symbol of God's abiding and sheltering presence. As you recite the blessing and wrap yourself in this talit, we proudly watch and celebrate with you as you accept your place in the chain of our tradition.
Okay, now Sammy, you're going to read the tallis blessing that you're going to find right in front of you.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kedeshanu b'mitzvosav v'tzivanu lahadlek ner lehitateh potitzi.
We all say amen?
Amen.
Okay, now Eric and Phil, you're going to take the tallis and you're going to drape it around her shoulders. There you go, and fix her hair. Sam, your arms come to the outside. There you go. Okay, Max, come on up there and get next to Mom real quick for me. Okay, I'm going to have family put your arms around each other, please. Friends, we all know that families and communities come together for all sorts of reasons. Some of them sad. This one, super happy, super joyous. And so what we Jews do when we know we're in the midst of a particular type of time, of sacred time, we recite the Shehechianu prayer. Literally, thank you, God, for this moment in time that we're here together, and may we have this type of experience again and again and again. Page 5, please join us.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kimanu v'higianu b'zman hazeh. Amen.
Family can be seated. Sam, you're going to lead us on page 6.
God be with me on this occasion of my bar mitzvah. Help me make meaningful the covenant you now establish with me. Sustain me with a sense of holiness. Inspire me in a desire to be special. I do not ask that you make my life easy, resolve my problems, map out the directions of my life. I ask only that you strengthen within me the desire to mold and shape my life in accordance to your will. In this hour of my bat mitzvah, I invoke your blessings upon my parents and friends and all who have loved and cared for me and have brought me to this time of gladness. Give them joy and fulfillment in my growth and my achievement, who you turn the heads of children to their parents and the heads of parents to their children.
Very good. So in a moment, Sam, you're going to lead us on Ashrae on page 10. Ashrae is a prayer about gratitude. Gratitude is the first step for knowing who we are and where we are, not taking for granted what's around us, and always walking with a sense of anticipation and hope. Page 10, Sammy.
Ashrae
ha'am shekathalo, Ashrei ha'am she'Adonai Elohav.
Tehillah David, Aramimcha Elohai HaMelech, Va'arvecha Shimcha Le'olam Va'ed
בכל יום אברכך, ואהללה שמך לעולם ועד.
גדול אדוני אמנו מאוד, ולגדולתו אין הכר.
דור לדור ישבח מעשיך, וגבורתך יגידו.
הדר כבוד הודך, ודברי נפלאותיך עשיך.
ועזוז נורותיך יאמרו, וגדולתך ספרנה.
זכר אהבתך יביע, וצדקתך ירננה.
חנון ורחום אדוני, ערך אפיים וגדול חסד.
טוב אדוני לכל, ורחמיו על כל מעשיו.
יודוך אדוני כל מעשיך, וחסידיך יברכוך.
כבוד מלכותך יאמרו, וגבורתך ידברו.
להודיע לבני האדם גבורותיו, וכבוד הדר מלכותו.
מלכותך מלכות כל עולמים, וממשלתך כל דור ודור.
סומך אדוני לכל הנופלים, וזוקף לכל הכיפופים.
עיני כל אליך יסברו, ואתה נותן לכם את אכלם בעיתו.
פותח את ידיך, ומשביע לכל חי רצון.
פותח את צדיק אדוני בכל דרכיו, וחסיד בכל מעשיו.
קרוב אדוני לכל קוראיו, לכל אשר יקראו באמת.
רצון יראה ויעשה, ואת שבתם ישמח וישים.
שומר אדוני את כל אוהביו, ואת כל הרשעים ישמיד.
תהילה אדוני ידבר פי, ויברך כל בשר שם קדשו לעולם ועד.
ואנחנו נברך יה, מעתה ועד עולם, hallelujah.
Sammy, would you lead us responsively on page 13 in the English? And folks, we have the italics. That's us all together.
May the door of the synagogue be wide enough to receive all who hunger for love, all who are lonely for fellowship.
May it welcome all who have cares to unburden, thanks to express, hopes to nurture.
May the door of the synagogue be narrow enough to shut out pettiness and pride.
May its threshold be no stumbling block to young or straying feet.
May it be too high to admit indifference, selfishness, and harshness.
May this synagogue be for all who enter the doorway to a richer and more meaningful life. We are warmed up. Baruch Hu on page 15. We rise. Inside cover, you'll find the Mahariva Ravim prayer. Sammy, as you're leading this, it reminds us that every day that we start, and of course the Jewish day starts at night, every time we have a new day, we have a chance to create ourselves anew, to create our surroundings anew, to create our home anew, Sammy, our circles, our friends, our influences. We have a chance to create the world around us with the efforts that we make each and every day. This is a continuous second chance. This is letting us know, reminding us that we're not locked in to what has happened yesterday or yesteryear, that we are empowered. We are empowered to influence the life that we live and those who are around us. Mahariva Ravim, inside cover.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam, asher bidbaro ma'ariv aravim, bechachma poteach she'arim, uvivuna mashana itim, umechalit et kol et hazmanim, umsader et hakochavim, b'mishmeretehem barakia kirtzana. Berei yom v'layla golel or mipnei choshev v'choshev mipnei or uma'avir yom umevi layla umavdil bein yom uchvein layla Adonai Tzevaot Shemel El Chai v'kayam tamid yimlech aleini le'olam va'ed Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv aravi.
Amen. And on page 16, Sammy, you're going to lead us in a moment in the prayer Ahava Rabbah about God's abundant love. I'll tell you that when my kids were younger, we would every night go through this bedtime ritual, Sammy, of letting them know everybody who loved them in their life. And went like this: Mama loves you, Papa loves you, Grandpa loves you, Grandma too. And this list could go on for 5 minutes. But somewhere in this list, we always put that God loves each kid, each person. And the hope is that as you go through your life, you're not a little kid, you're now a Jewish adult. But as you go through that, in the list of people who love you, and you could probably see a lot of them out here right now if you glance out into your fans, but if you think about all the people who love you, God is on the list. God is part of those who love you very, very much. Will you lead us in Ahava Rabbah on page 16?
Ahava Rabbah Ahavtanu Adonai Eloheinu Chemla Gedola Vitera Hamata Aleinu Ba'avor Avotenu V'imatenu Sheba'chu B'cha Batlamdem Hukei Chaim Chen Techonenu Utlamdenu Hamrachem Rahem Aleinu V'tem Belibenu Lehavin Ulhaskia Lishmeach Leomed Ulelamed Lishmor Vela'aset Ulkayam et Kol Divrei Talmud Toratecha Be'ahava Baruch atah Adonai Habacher Be'amo Yisrael Be'ahava.
Amen. And Samuel, get ready for the Shema on page 18. Chances are, Samuel, that the Shema is the first prayer that you ever learned. How many times do you think you've said the Shema in your life? A lot. Like more than 10? More than 100? For sure. For sure. And probably close to, I don't know how many hundred. Many hundred. So traditionally, it's the first prayer that a Jewish person learns. And traditionally, it's the last prayer that a Jew says before we depart this earth. And in between, we say the Shema many, many times. Think of a needle and a thread going again and again and again through a particular place. It brings us back to a sense of wholeness, a sense of being part of the one, knowing that there is one who is a part of us. Feet on the ground, nice deep breath. We get ready for our Shema on page 18.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed.
We can have a seat. Same as people are getting settled, we're getting ready to pray the V'ahavta prayer on page 18, which will lead us in a moment. The V'ahavta prayer is a part of the Shema, and it's a prayer that reminds us that we have reminders that we can be God-oriented, that we can be our very best selves And the questions that's asked as part of the V'ahavta, or at least implicit in it, is when are we supposed to do this? And the answers that it gives, Sammy, are, well, when you're laying down, and when you're standing up, and when you're at home, and when you're on the way. In other words, we're supposed to do this always. But always actually isn't such a good answer, because it's really hard to do anything meaningful and mindfully always. And so this prayer is a reminder that we have reminders around us that we can be our very best selves. One of the things mentioned in the V'ahavta prayer that you're going to chant for us in a moment is a reference to the mezuzah, that we're supposed to put these words, put this reminder on the doorposts of our house. The mezuzah is at eye level, Sammy, right? When you walk in, you see it. And the idea is that we, of course, walk through the world and have many different personas, but usually we have one that is different for inside the home. And the mezuzah reminds us that when we're coming in, we actually need to bring our best self, not our grumpy self, not our self that's going to take for granted the people inside who we love the most. That when we enter our home, we're entering the most sacred space in Judaism. That mezuzah reminds us that we have a place and a space that we can be the very best versions of ourselves in the home. Will you lead us, please, on page 18?
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבניך, ושיננת לבניך ודיברת בם, ושבתך בביתך ולכתך בדרך, ושכבך ופנימך, ושרתם על ידך, והיו תותפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם אלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
Sammy, I'm going to invite up your cousins, Sophie Frank and Addison Goldman, to lead us in prayer on page 19, responsively.
Adonai, our God, you took us out of slavery in Egypt, you made us free.
You are in the courage with which we overcame 40 years of desert wandering.
Even today, you are in the hope that, like a beam of light, brightens the darkness of suffering and despair.
Together, you are in the love that creates, protects, forgives.
Standing at the sea, we felt your goodness and your love, and we sang a new song to you. And still today, we sing that song.
We praise you, Adonai, Redeemer of Israel. Micha Mocha can be found on your inside cover.
Yai, lai, 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 yai, lai, 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 yai, lai, 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 yai, lai, 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 yai, lai, 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 lai. Let's do that one more time, all together. Give all the great Shabbos energy to Sammy. You can even clap along to this rhythm, just like this. Here we go. Yai, lai, 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 that's it. Yai, lai, 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 yai, lai, 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 yai, lai, 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 yai, lai, 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 yai, lai, lai, lai. Mikomo kavai levodonai, mikomo kavai levodonai, rati hilot, mosekele, rati hilot, mosekele, Adonai ונאמר כי פרעונה את יעקב וגאלם יר חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני
Baruch Shemo.
גאל ישראל.
We join in singing what the Israelites proclaimed after they had successfully crossed the sea, the subject for your Torah portion today. And we find in their redemption the strength to seek our own. The struggle carries us into the Amidah, a prayer of becoming, of transformation, of divine human partnership that brings grace into our lives and into our world. We rise for our Amidah, starting on page 21.
Adonai safatavta ufiyaki tefilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol v'Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei HaKol, V'Zocher Hasdei Avot V'Imahot, U'Mevi Geulah Livnei V'neihem, V'Man Shemo Be'aha, Melech Ozer U'Mashiach U'Magen. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham Ve'ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh HaKol Atah Rav Le'Choshia. Moshiv HaRuach U'Morid HaGashem, Mechachel Chaim B'Chesed, Mechayeh HaKol B'Rachamim Rabim, Momech Noflim V'Rofei Cholim, U'Matir Asurim, U'Mekayem Emunato L'Ishenei Afar, Michamocha B'Gevurot, U'Midol Melach, Melech Memit U'Mechayeh, U'Matzmeach Yeshua.
Baruch
atah Adonai, Mechayeh HaKol. And Sammy, we're going to invite up some of your Temple Emanu-El friends to lead us in the responsive reading on page 23. Lexi Pearson, Ellie Lubin, Kitty Lubin, and Moses Anderson. Come on up to the microphone. Bring in your red prayer books with you. You're going to lead us on page 23. Someone take the lead.
Many are the ways of holiness, varied are its paths.
Together, there is holiness when we strive to be true to the best we know.
There is holiness when we are kind to others.
There's holiness when we strive for harmony in all of our relationships.
There is holiness when people of different backgrounds work together for a common future.
There is holiness when people seek justice and struggle for righteousness.
There is holiness when people create lasting poetry or song or philosophy.
There is holiness when we forget what divides us and remember what unites us.
Holy, holy, holy is Adonai our God.
Kiddusha, page 24.
נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב על יד נביאך, וקרא זה ואמר, קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוך הארץ, כבודו. Adirenu Adonai, Baruch kevod Adonai mimkomo. Echad hu Eloheinu, hu Avinu hu Malkeinu, hu Moshiachenu v'hu Yashmienu, berachamav le'nei kol chai. Ani Adonai Elohechem, yimloch Adonai le'olam, Elohai Tzion, Ledor Vador, Hallelujah. Ledor Vador,
Ledor vador,
Ledor Vador,
Ledor vador,
Ledor Vador, Nagid Gor Lecha. Repeat after me. Ledor Vador.
Ledor vador,
There we go. Ledor Vador.
Ledor vador,
Ledor Vador, Nagid Gor Lecha. ולנצח נצחים, קדושתך נקדיש, קדושתך נקדיש, עד שכפים, ולנצח נצחים, קדושתך נקדיש, קדושתך נקדיש. לדור ודור,
Ledor vador,
לדור ודור,
Ledor vador, Ledor vador, nagid gor lecha.
לדור ודור,
Ledor vador,
לדור ודור,
Ledor vador,
לדור ודור, נגיד גור לך. כי המלך גדול, גדול וקדוש, גדול וקדוש אתה. כי המלך גדול, גדול וקדוש, גדול וקדוש אתה. ברוך אתה
Baruch
אדוני,
Shemo.
האל הקדוש.
Amen. We can be seated. Sammy, on page 25, we have this prayer which requires a responsive attention from the congregation. Would you lead us in that?
From of old, the Jewish people have seen Shabbat as a unique gift, a token of its covenant with God.
Shabbat is the most cherished creation of the Jewish spirit. It mirrors the essence of the Jewish soul.
Shabbat is a symbol of liberation and triumph, of the holy over profane, of spirit over matter.
Shabbat is a symbol of liberation and triumph, of the holy over the profane, of spirit over matter. In every age? In every age, Shabbat afforded the Jew a sacred retreat.
In every age, Shabbat afforded the Jews a sacred retreat, a haven of safety, a fountain of new strength and perpetual renewal.
Shabbat nurtures family life in love and harmony. A home at peace welcomes Shabbat with joy.
Shabbat is part of nature's design, the very purpose of creation. All that was created attained with its fulfillment in Shabbat.
Shabbat is our hope, the calm haven where all the weary find rest. With the coming of Shabbat, redemption and peace enter the world. This is our chance for those who are joining us online, especially boys and girls getting ready for their bar and bat mitzvah. This is where you tell us who you are and what you are grateful for on this Shabbat. Yismachu can be found on page 26.
Shomrei, 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 Shabbat B'Chol, Omei Shabbat. Yismechu, V'malachim Tefar. Shomrei, 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 Shabbat B'Chol, Omei Shabbat. Oh, V'kadosh Shevi Shabbat. Oh, V'yizbehu, V'yitanu T'uvecha Shabbat. Shomrei, 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 Shabbat B'Chol, Omei Shabbat. Shomrei, 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 Shabbat B'Chol, Omei Shabbat. Tachbir, Atzita Bo V'Kiddush Shabbat. Kandan Yamim,
Shomrei, 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 Shabbat B'Chol, Omei Shabbat.
למעשה בראשית שבת, למעשה בראשית שבת.
Here we go, יסלחו מלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת קורא עונג שבת. יסלחו מלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת
קורא עונג שבת.
Sammy, on page 27, we have a responsive prayer. Will you lead us in this one as well?
Our world is full of wonders and miracles, but all it takes is one little hand placed before our eyes and we see nothing.
Together, but miracles are all around us and within us. We are each walking miracles.
When we are bruised, what miracle heals us? When we see beauty, what miracle elevates us? When we hear music, what miracle moves us?
When we see suffering, what miracle saddens us? When we give and receive love, what miracle warms us? When we pray, what miracle renews us?
Every springtime is a miracle. Every snowflake is a miracle. The thoughts we think, the words we speak, the hopes we cherish, each is a miracle.
For all these miracles, may your name be exalted and blessed forever and ever. Sammy, we're going to call up your aunts, Sarah Goldman and Janet Vela and Roxana Goldman, to lead us on page 28.
Our world is full of wonders and miracles, but all it takes is one little hand placed before our eyes, and we see nothing.
We're going to have you go to page 28. Do you have it with you?
I have it.
Okay.
Our God, we know
There is no greater gift than peace. Help us to find the peace that comes from the love of your Torah.
Inspire us to banish hatred, war, bloodshed, and bigotry. Help us to establish forever one human family, doing your will in love and peace.
Help us to find peace in ourselves and among all people. O God of peace, bless us with peace.
You have given us the power, O God, to bring peace and justice into the world. May we always love peace and pursue it, and love our fellow creatures. Fill us with kindness, wisdom, and love. Then shall we learn to live in peace. Blessed is God, teacher of peace. Sim Shalom, page 28. Sim Shalom, Sim Shalom,
Sim Shalom, Tova Uveracha. We sing that together. Sim Shalom, Sim Shalom, Sim Shalom, Tova Uveracha. La 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 la
invite us all to take a moment of silent prayer, silent meditation, reflection, communion.
Oseh shalom imamav. Huya aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael. V'yimru amen. Debbie Friedman, wrote this in 2007.
I'd like to invite up Erica and Phil, proud parents, to give Sammy the parent blessing on page 31. These words are amalgamation. They're really a mashup from parts of the Talmud. And those great sages were also parents. And now their words, timeless that they are, flow through both of you to your daughter on this occasion of her bat mitzvah.
May you live to see your world fulfilled. May your destiny be for worlds still to come. And may you trust in generations past and yet to be.
May your heart be filled with intuition and your words be filled with insight. May songs of praise ever be upon your tongue and your vision be on a straight path before you.
May your eyes shine with the light of holy words and your face reflect the brightness of the heavens. May your lips ever speak wisdom and your fulfillment be in righteousness.
A Jewish home opens its heart and its link to the generations is proclaimed. Today, our child, nearly grown, is called to read from the Torah and is welcomed into the congregation. May this moment be blessed.
All right, give her a hug and a kiss. Go ahead, give her a squeeze. This is a touchy-feely service. Just hang out right up there with us.
So we're going to invite everybody to rise as we transition into our Torah service, which you will find on page 32. And I'm going to invite some folks up who are going to be helping during different parts of the Torah service. I am inviting great aunt and uncle Jill and Jules Goldman to the bima, who will be opening the ark and will also be undressing the Torah when it comes back after our Hakafah. And we are also going to invite up proud grandparents Flo and Larry Giltman and Marcy and Alan Goldman to the bima. Here, oh, yes, we see people coming down the pipe. Excellent. All righty, so Jill and Jules, and as grandparents come on up, everybody can walk up to the ark, and we can go ahead and open the ark. And Phil, you'll take out the Torah in just a moment, and we will join together on the bottom of page 32. Ki mitzion tetzeh Torah, Ki mitzion tetzeh Torah, u'devar Adonai mirushalayim, Baruch shenatan Torah, Torah, Baruch shenatan Torah, Torah, le'amo Yisrael, b'kedushato. So Sammy, you're gonna walk up, and Erica and Phil, you're also gonna walk up those 2 steps. Beautiful. And Phil, you can take out the Torah, and you're gonna hold it. You're not gonna pass it just yet. Beautiful. So Sammy, Rabbi Spike began our service this evening by talking about signposts. And so you have passed through the signpost of receiving your talit. You have led us in prayer beautifully. And now is that moment when you receive Torah down from the generations. And how special is it, Sammy, that you, in this room, we have 3 generations of Giltmans here, which is pretty phenomenal. All your grandparents here to watch you become bat mitzvah, to watch you as you take hold of the history of our people, literally in your arms and figuratively in your heart. So Dad, you're gonna let grandparents give a little touch and kiss to the Torah, and Mom give a touch and kiss to the Torah. Beautiful. And now you're going to hand the Torah to Sammy. Sammy's going to take it. Beautiful. Make sure she's got it. Yep. Don't worry. We're not going to let go until you've got it. There you go. Awesome. So Sammy, you're going to face out to your family, hang out right there, and I'm going to tell everybody what is about to happen. I'm going to sing a few blessings. And then I'm going to invite you all to walk around the synagogue with the Torah, and then you're going to come back up after you've walked around the synagogue in a hakafah, and our Torah undressers, who are Jill and Jules, are going to be up here waiting for you so that we can continue with undressing the Torah. And you'll hear my cues as we sing. So I'll tell you when it's time to walk on through. So stay right there.
Sammy, do you have a mask up there that you can put on for your hakafah? Okay, so everybody's going to hakafah. We're going to mask up when we come down into the
thank
congregation.
You, Rabbi. Thank you very much. All righty, so while, there we go. Beautiful. Mom can help you too.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, we are at the top of page 33, and Sammy, you're going to turn around and look at the ark for a moment. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo, Gadlul Adonai Iti, Uneromima Shemo Yachdav. I invite you all to walk around with the Torah and follow Rabbi Spike. Lecha Adonai HaGedula v'HaGevura v'HaTiferet v'HaNetzach v'HaHod. Ki kol b'shamayim u'va'aretz, ki kol b'shamayim u'va'aretz. Lecha Adonai HaMelacha v'hamitnaseh lechol rosh. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lehar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lehar kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Adonai Eloheinu romemu.
Okay, right up.
Yai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Torah you can put on the amud. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai lai. Sammy, you can put that down on the amud to make it a little easier. Yai lai lai, lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai lai, lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai.
Please be seated, everyone. Sammy, if you'll just turn around and close the ark right behind you. And grandparents can be seated. So friends, in a moment, Sammy is going to be chanting from Parsha Beshalach, which is Exodus 15, 1 through 12. If you want to follow along and you reach under your seat, you're going to find a blue book that says Plout on the side. Arthur Plout was the editor. This is the Torah, the Bible, in its codex form, meaning its book form. So if your book says Mishkan Tefillah with the gold letters, that's the wrong one. There's two blue books because, of course, there's only limited colors. We had to have both our books be blue. So this is the one that probably says the Torah on it. Everybody see it? So if you open it up to page 478, you're going to see the Hebrew and the English of what Sammy's going to be chanting. Now, make no mistake, I don't care if you've been to 1 bat mitzvah or 10 bar mitzvahs or 100, what Sammy is about to do is hard. She is going to be chanting in the original, from a scroll, without any vowels or musical notes, cantillation marks. She has worked very, very hard, literally years, to be able to do this. This is a major, major accomplishment. And Sammy, as you're doing this, your voice lifts the words off the page, blends with our intellect and who we are as a people, and you lift us all up in the process. Cantor?
So for the honor of our first Aliyah, we are calling up to the Bima proud grandparents Flo and Larry Giltman. Ya'amdu Lazar Yitzchak ben Lavan v'Sveto Fegabat Gittel v'Pinchas La'aliyah LaTorah. And our blessings can be found, if you'd like to follow along, on page 34 in our red Sidurim.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher b'charbanu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Amen. As Yashim Yosef, Ibnei Israel, et Yisheva Hazot, La'Adonai, V'yomeru Le'emor, Ashir La'Adonai, Ki Gaga, Sisper Cheva, Ramat Vayam, Aziv Zimimatia, Vayehili Lishua, Ze'ele Ben Levechu, Elehe Avi, Ra'aram Emenehu. Adonai Yish, Milchamoah, Adonai Shemo.
Yasher?
Beautiful.
Oh, all right, grandparents.
Baruch Atah Adonai
Eloheinu.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'hayei olam natan b'tochenu. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. Beautiful. Lots of hugs and kisses for Sammy. Beautiful. And yes, hugs and kisses for everybody. And grandparents, you can stay up there while I call again proud grandparents Marcy and Alan Goldman up to the bima for our second aliyah. Ya'andu Avraham u'Miriam la'aliyah la'Torah.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Habarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amin natan lanu et Torah. Baruch Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Markevot ka'eh v'chelo yaravayam umi v'char shalishav tibe'u v'yamsu tehomo yechasimu yardu b'mitzalot kemo aven yamina ha'adon nedari b'koach yamina ha'adonai tir'at loyev.
Yashar Koach. All right. Grandparents, you are up.
Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'kilam nata b'tzotzenu v'nach Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Hugs and kisses for Sammy. Beautiful. And then you can be seated. And now it is my pleasure to call very proud parents, mom and dad, to the bima for our third aliyah. Ya'amdu Pinchas ben Levi, Lazar v'Fega, Malka bat Avraham u'Miriam, la'aliyah la'Torah.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Habarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch atah Adonai
Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amin v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Iverev ge'enecha taharos kamecha teshalach charonecha yochlema kakash. Iverach achecha ner memayim nitvu chemonei noslim kafu tehamo belev yam. Amar oyev erdof asik ahalek shalom tima emen afshi arik harvi teri shemer yadi.
Yashar Koach. Mom and dad, you're up.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. All right, Sammy, give mom and dad a big hug and a kiss. And mom and dad, you're going to stay right where you are. And Sammy, you're going to go have a seat right next to Max. Yep. So I can see you. Beautiful. Okay, so why are you sitting? You still have one more aliyah to go. Well, my dear, this is the moment where you literally transform from Sammy Giltman, awesome Jewish kid, to Sammy Giltman, still awesome Jewish kid, but also awesome young Jewish adult, young Jewish woman. So in a moment, I'll call you up by your Hebrew name. And when you move from your chair to the Torah, and you make the blessing before the Torah, that is that moment. You literally are making aliyah, rising up, elevating yourself into this new status of becoming a bat mitzvah. Becoming a bat mitzvah, Sammy, is not just something that happens just for 30 seconds. once you move into that, becoming a bat mitzvah, you are a bat mitzvah for your whole entire life. So what does that really mean? It really means that you now can be a fully participatory, active member of your Jewish community. I know you're already there. So I know that you'll continue to fulfill that leadership in your Jewish community, in your community here at the synagogue. In making that aliyah up into becoming a bat mitzvah, you are not only physically demonstrating that transition, you, my dear, are also moving upward and deeper into your Jewish identity, your Jewish spirituality and connection to your peoplehood and your heritage. And you also help us to move up and deeper into our connection as well. So it is my pleasure to invite you forward as an official bat mitzvah up to the Torah. Talmud, Talmud, Habachura bat mitzvah, Simcha bat Pinchas u'Malka, la'aliyah Torah. And whenever you're ready, Sammy, you can make the blessing before the Torah. Baruch Adonai HaBarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaBarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Toratav. Baruch Atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen.
Nashafta b'ruchacha ki samayam taluka uferet b'mayim ativrim michamecha be'elim Adonai michamecha nedar b'kodesh nerata hilot osefele natita yaminecha tilaima haaretz.
Yasher koach. And you're going to make the blessing after. Yes, take some water. We are not in a rush. Take your time.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata b'Eloheinu baruch atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen. Mazel tov. That was
Beautiful.
beautiful, beautiful. Friends, we're going to stand. We're going to stand up. Phil and Erica, will you put a hand on Sammy's shoulder, please? Sammy, that was a beautiful job. So, in a moment, Sammy, we're going to give you a special Misha Barak blessing for your spiritual development, for your continued spiritual development, with the idea that what you are doing and have done today acts as a spiritual cornerstone for you for your whole life, that you can push off of and always find your way back to. We'll do it in Hebrew, then English. Misha Berach Avotenu V'Imotenu Avraham Yitzchak V'Yakov Sarah Rivka Rachel V'Leah Hu Yevarech Et Simcha Bat Pinchas V'Malka Shehagia LeMitzvot LeAlta LeTorah HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yismeireha V'Chayeha V'Chonen Et Liba L'Yot Shalem Im Adonai Eloheha L'Got B'Torah Tov L'Lecha B'Drachav L'Shmor Mitzvotav V'tim sechen, v'sechel tov, v'nei Elohim v'adam v'nomar, Amen. May God, who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bless you, Sammy, who's come up for an aliyah upon the age of mitzvot. May the Holy One guard you and sustain you, helping you to be wholehearted in your faith, studying God's Torah, walking in God's ways, and fulfilling God's mitzvot. May you find favor before God and all people, and let us say, Amen. Okay, we stay standing for the dressing of the Torah, and we invite cousins David and Jennifer Goldman to dress the Torah as Cantor sings V'zot HaTorah. So come on up.
And we're on page 36. Vezutak Torah Asher Moshe Livnei Bnei Israel. O Pi Adonai B'yad Moshe. Yala lai 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 lai. Yala lai 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 lai. Yala lai 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 lai. Yala lai 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 lai. Yala lai 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 lai. Yala lai 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 lai. Yala lai 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 lai. Yala lai lai lai.
Please be seated. And
Phil, you can put the Torah back on the Amud. That's fine, I think. Yes.
right up on the podium, right there. So Sammy, you're going to get ready to deliver your Devar Torah, which is really a mini sermon that you're giving us. Sammy's Torah portion, as you saw, is the song that Miriam and the women led us in when we crossed the Red Sea, having just left Egyptian slavery, the Passover story. Now, Sammy, I don't know if you know this, but you have seen this Song of the Sea. You have seen it many, many times as you've walked around the synagogue. Do you know where it is? Yeah, so Michamocha for sure. So that's part of what you chanted. The Michamocha is in there. Great answer. Now I'm going to tell you, and you'll never look at it the same again. The doors that you all came in, right out there, wave, there you go, those doors right out there. If you look to the right, you're going to see a window, and in the window you're going to see a Torah opened up to a particular part. That's the part that Sammy chanted. That Torah that's out there is a Torah that was part of a village that was destroyed in the Holocaust, a Jewish village, and the Torah was saved, and we now keep it here, and we have it on display. It's very old, it's fragile, but the part that we have on display is unique in all of Torah. It looks different than all the other pieces of Torah together, and Sammy, that's the part that you chanted today. So every time you walk by there, you're going to be able to sit there and chant it, and we may have you do it a bunch of times, so heads up. So part of what a bat mitzvah does is to not just chant Torah, Dayenu, as if that wasn't enough, and not just lead us in prayer, okay, which is a very big deal, but interprets Torah, interprets the Bible. So Sammy has been working with a number of folks to do this over the last couple months, including some of the great rabbis who've been gone for centuries. What Sammy has come up with is going to be unique to her because she is unique. There is nobody like her ever in the history of anything, okay? So think of it, Sammy, that you're like a diamond. No two diamonds are the same. And the light that shines through you is a unique light. And that's what this Devar Torah is. So it's meant to teach us, it's meant to inspire us, it's meant to lift us up. Whenever you're ready, Sammy.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
My Torah portion is Beshalach from the book of Exodus. The word Beshalach means when he let go. This refers to when the Jews escaped Egypt many years ago when they were being held captive by Pharaoh and the Egyptians. Because Pharaoh refused to let the Jews go and be free, God decided to punish the Pharaoh, sending the 10 plagues to him and all of the Egyptians. On the 10th plague, the death of the firstborn, the Pharaoh finally decided to let the Israelites go. Not long after, the Pharaoh changed his mind and sent his army after the Israelites. God then instructed Moses to hold up his stick and split the Red Sea. But at first, Moses held up his stick and nothing happened. Everyone began to doubt Moses since he's led them all this way and was now standing there with a stick and the sea wasn't splitting. Then, according to a midrash, an extra story about the Torah portion, a man named Nachshon slowly stepped into the water. He went into the water up to his knees and nothing happened. Then his waist, his chest, his neck, and still nothing happened. But only when Nachshon went all the way into the water, to the point where his nose and mouth were both covered, the sea finally split. The Israelites made it across with a few seconds to spare, as the Egyptians were still chasing them. But instead of the Pharaoh's army catching up, Moses closed the sea back up and the Pharaoh's entire army drowned. After everyone made it across to the other side, acknowledging what had just happened to them, Miriam, Moses' sister, who is best known for her singing, played her timbrel, which is an ancient kind of tambourine, and led everyone to safety. She sang the words to Michamocha, words that we still sing today. There are many lessons in my Torah portion. I wanted to compare Moses to Martin Luther King Jr. because it's MLK weekend and they are both great leaders. Both of their main goals were to gain freedom for their people. And even though Moses might have used more violence in his leadership style, they're both excellent leaders and got their jobs done. In addition, both MLK and Moses wanted to make it to their promised lands. In this case, Moses' promised land was Canaan, or Israel, and Martin Luther King Jr.'s promised land was more of a metaphor. He worked to end segregation for African Americans and for everyone to be treated equally. But Moses wasn't like many other leaders because he had a stutter. Instead of standing up himself to lead, God chose him to lead. Moses asked God, "Why me?" And God told Moses that he believes in him, which gave Moses more confidence. He ended up doing a great job. On the other hand, Martin Luther King Jr. saw what he needed to do, and he did something about it on his own. MLK didn't have a stutter to worry about, and he probably had more confidence to begin with than Moses, who had to gain it along the way.
Sammy, slow down, slow down.
Overall, I think that from these two leaders, we learn to persevere and step up for what we believe in. Sometimes, if we don't step up to do it, no one else will. This is just like Nachshon, who stepped into the water when all of the other people were just standing there. So if more people had faith in others, just like Nachshon did, we'd probably have a lot more leaders in the world. Becoming a bat mitzvah means that I am now an adult in the Jewish community. To me, this means I am seen as more mature, responsible, and grown. As a new adult in the Jewish community, I plan to hang a mezuzah on my door. I also plan to join a synagogue and go to temple to celebrate the Jewish holidays with my family and the people closest to me. One of the most important things to me about being Jewish is something called kehillah, which means community. My favorite part of Sunday school has always been seeing my friends and always having the best time with them. I love learning about different Torah stories in class with my friends. I always thought they sounded super interesting. Just like how learning about Torah and our stories is important to me, so is the state of Israel. I love learning about Israel in class and getting to understand more and more about it. Even though I've never been to Israel before, I hope to go one day with my family. On top of that, I hope to keep studying Israel and keep learning about the community we have there. Next, for my mitzvah project, I donated to the Forsyth County Humane Society. The Humane Society is a 100% zero-kill animal shelter for dogs and cats. Their main goal is to stop cruelty towards animals. They also have a foster care for dogs and cats, as well as providing a temporary home for dogs until they find one. I collected supplies and other donations like chew toys, dog food, towels, and sanitary items like disinfectant wipes and more. The Humane Society has a link to all of these items on their website, along with their wish list and what you can do to help them. I encourage everyone to donate and do whatever you can to help. Next, there are many people I'd like to thank for me being here today. First, I'd like to thank my dad. I love you so much, and you really are my biggest supporter. Whether we're throwing a football together, riding bikes, or even just rides to school in the morning, we always have the best time. Mom, I love you so much, and you really are one of the most incredible people I know. You really do find a way to get everything done. I mean, you cook almost every meal we have, you work, and you still find time to take care of your 3 kids. I also want to thank my brother Max. Even though we don't always get along, I still love you so much, so thank you. In addition, I'd like to thank my Gigi, Poppy, and my Granny and Gramps. You are the most supportive people and the most amazing grandparents I could ask for. Next, I'd like to say a huge thank you to one of my best friends, Megan, who came here to celebrate tonight on her birthday. I've known her since I was about 3, and I'm so grateful for her. On top of that, I want to thank Rabbi Rachel, Rabbi Max, Rabbi Spike, and Cantor Desmond. You taught me everything I know about even having a bat mitzvah, and I wouldn't be here without you. In addition, I'd like to say a huge thank you to my tutor, Mrs. Joanne Lipschitz, for preparing me for this day. Finally, I'd like to say the biggest thank you to all of you for coming to my bat mitzvah. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Okay, deep breath, Sammy. Friends, we're all going to rise together. Sammy, that was very good. Clearly, we've just heard from a young woman. On page 39, we've got Eitz Chaim. I'm going to invite up Jennifer and Ethan Frank, cousins, to come and open the ark. And Max, maybe you can show them how to do it. And Phil, once the ark is open, will you take the Torah and replace it in the ark?
Eitz Chaim hi למחזיקים בה ותומכך מאושר דרכיה דרכי נועם וכל נתיבותיך שלום השיבנו אדוני אליך ונשובה חדש חדש ימים
Beautiful. And we can be seated. So Sammy, Cantor and I have said this before, but really it's worth repeating. Of all the things that we get to do here as Rabbi and Cantor at Temple Emanu-El, including high holidays and Ruckus Friday nights and weddings, what we've been doing with you for the past many months is our most favorite thing, which is getting to know you at a pretty deep level and studying Torah Lishma, Torah for the sake of higher thought or higher thinking. You brought up some great points about Moses, Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses our teacher, and Martin Luther King, that both were leaders and maybe reluctant leaders. When Moses first gets called on by God, Moses says to God, I can't do it. I have a heavy mouth. And it's thought that he had a speech impediment. And God essentially says to Moses, hey Moses, I know what you can do better than you know what you can do. In other words, hey, even though you have a speech impediment, you're going to be my mouthpiece and I'm going to give you some help. You're not doing this on your own. Moses was tapped by God, and I bet if Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. were here, he would let us know that he was also tapped by God, and maybe reluctantly. And I want to show you something, because you talk about this idea of Nachshon and standing up and being a leader and taking a step. And both Moses and Martin Luther King certainly took a big visible step for people to see, but you can apply this to lots of other things as well. So I want to show you something. Come on, throw a mask on if you would, and come on down here. You all look like good volunteers. Could this row and this row and this row come right up here and line up right here with me? Just kind of stand right in this area, and Sammy, you're going to stand right here like this. So anybody here seen The Prince of Egypt, the movie The Prince of Egypt? A couple of you. Anybody here ever celebrate Passover? Anybody here ever read Exodus, the Moses story? So here's how this goes. Essentially, we leave, and we leave in a hurry, and we travel 3 days until we get to the Salt Sea, the Red Sea. And now we've got a problem, and that is that there's a sea in front of us, a seemingly impossible place to go forward. And Pharaoh changes his mind again, as he's apt to do, and sends the most powerful army in the world after us. And the Midrash talks about how we can smell the horses before we can see them, and you can hear them before we can see them. See the dust, this powerful army's coming down on us. So our people say to Moses, Moses, did you have to bring us out of Egypt? Weren't there graves enough for us in Egypt? It's sarcasm in the Torah, right? Now Moses gives a very rabbinic answer. He says, you have to have faith. And then he turns to God, and I'm paraphrasing here a little bit, and says, what do I do? Now we have your midrash that you brought up about Nachshon, right? Nachshon is just a guy, right? So now everybody's lined up. Step back here, Sammy. Everybody's lined up. Time is not on our side, right? If we do nothing, that's a choice, and nothing's going to come down on us hard, just like lots of things going on in the world, including, let's say, the environment. Doing nothing is a choice with consequences. There's nowhere really to run. There's nowhere really to hide. So Nachshon makes a decision, takes a big step forward. Sammy, take a big step forward. I'll stop. Okay? Two things happen. One, someone decides to act. And two, everybody who's lined up on the shore sees that somebody's acting. That's very important. And now, when Nachshon comes forward, three friends take a step right behind her. Take a big step right behind her. Okay. Now, Nachshon takes a second step. Take another step. Okay, come forward. This group, half of you, come forward, please. More people see. Now, the people behind see that there's others following, and others following, and others following. So another step forward, and now everybody, take a step forward, everybody. According to the Midrash, when the water was up here on Nachshon, everybody was in the ocean. And then, and only then, does God split the sea. In other words, there's a way of looking at this that we force the miracle. There's reality that seems impregnable. It seems impossible. But if somebody leads and somebody else decides that they're going to take a chance and take a step, and these folks see and these folks see, if we're all trying and doing and pushing, reality changes. Reality splits. So did this actually happen? I don't know. I hope so. Is it a story that we've been telling each other for 4,000 years about how we can have some control over our destiny in the world? Absolutely. And that's what you chanted today. That's a very big deal. All right, a hand, please, for our participants. You guys can all go and sit down, and Sammy, you pop back up on the bema. Sammy, my hope is that you take the lessons from your Torah portion and you apply them to yourself. The first being that not all leaders are coming in like Captain America, right? That sometimes leaders come in all shapes, sizes, and abilities, and just because one isn't necessarily, shining bright all the time, doesn't mean you can't do a lot, okay? God knows what we can do better than we can. And the second is, Sammy, whether you're Nachshon or the people behind Nachshon or the people behind them, leadership sometimes is action and then faith follows. You understand where I'm going with this? So our hope is that you continue to do this. You gave us a very inspiring message today. It's inspiring. Now we want to do. And now we're looking for the Nachshon. We're looking for the Moses. We're looking for the MLK. And maybe you can be that for us, at least one step at a time. Cantor?
Sammy, you can't see it because my mask is covering my face, but I have just been grinning at you and beaming at you from ear to ear for this entire service, and I'm just so proud of you. And I want to talk a little bit about your Hebrew name, Simcha. So Simcha, this idea of joy and happiness, is really who you are. I've gotten to know you for many, many years now. And you always, when I see you on Sunday morning, even if, we're all tired, you always bring this sense of uplift and joy and happiness wherever you go. I see it in class, I see it with your friends, and it always brings a sense of joy to me and a smile on my face. So my blessing for you, my charge for you, is that you keep showing up with that sense of joy and happiness, that light that is within you. And wherever you go, that you bring that. You are going to bring those qualities that you spoke about, that Rabbi spoke about, of humble leadership, of understanding that yes, it takes one person to step forward, and then it also takes a whole community of people banded together. And that's what you talked about today. And so if you do that, my dear, you will go so far. The sky is the limit. Mazel tov.
So now we're going to ask everyone to rise, please. And Sammy, we are all going to give you the priestly benediction, the blessing that our people have been giving to our youth at these liminal times since time began as we know it. If everybody would sort of raise your hands as if you're sending forth blessings to Sammy, just like this. If you want to do spirit fingers, you can, but just certainly push them forward, okay? And we're going to bless you, Sammy. Are you ready?
Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha.
May God bless you and keep you.
Yar Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka.
May God's countenance shine upon you and be gracious to you.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom.
May God's face turn toward you, Sammy, and grant you the greatest gift of all, what you have right now, surrounded by family and friends and community, loving and supportive, with your whole life ahead of you, all doors open, a sense of wholeness, completeness, and peace. And we say,
Amen.
Amen. Okay. Okay, we can all be seated, except for Eric and Phil. We're going to come on up and say some nice words.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you all for joining us in celebrating this special occasion as our daughter Samantha becomes a bat mitzvah. We know that these are challenging and unknown times. There are those that hope to be here, but unfortunately could not. We thank you for your love and support from afar. For those of you that stay here before us, thank you. It means the world to us to have you here. On December 17th, 2008, Phil and I became parents. Sammy was due 2 days earlier, but just wasn't ready. Ever since, Sammy has continued to take her time to put her best foot forward and make a grand entrance. Every step is taken with stride and completed with 110% effort. Sammy is a smart, beautiful, kind, caring, funny, loving human being, one that we are so beyond proud to call ours. Sammy, we stand here today in front of our family, friends, and community as you become a bat mitzvah, a woman in the eyes of our Jewish community on this day, January 15th, 2022. As many of you know, I too became a bat mitzvah right here in this very spot. This special place is where Phil was confirmed. This temple is where your daddy and I came to be, with a little nudge from my brother Scott. Today is the beginning of a new chapter in our amazing story and the connection to this sacred place, one our family will forever be a part of. The Torah portion you shared with us today is one of a great leader. I have no doubt that you too will be a great leader. Sammy, you shine bright, and you are such a joy to watch grow into the woman that you have become. Your father and I are so proud of you and wish you all the joy and happiness in the world. Mazel tov. Spread those wings and fly high, my love.
Shabbat Shalom. Samantha, your mother, Max and I are so proud of you. Everyone here is so proud of you. You have worked very hard to be here today, and we find joy in seeing the wonderful young woman you are becoming. The path to adulthood is full of twists and turns. It's a journey fraught with new freedoms, new responsibilities, and an abundance of complex emotions. But we know you will embrace this journey as a Jewish adult, guided by our traditions and our teachings, which have been handed down for generations. May you always know that you are never alone on life's journey. May you have the courage to be who you are and to stand up for your ideals, even when they are not popular. May you find expression for all your creativity and share your gifts with the world. May you remember that your actions matter, that what you do in life matters, so that you make a difference in the world for the better. Tikkun Olam. May all your dreams come true, because you are the type of person to make them come true. Sammy, you're the coolest person I know. And even though you call me Dad nowadays, just know if there's anything you ever need, your daddy will always be there. I love you so much, sweet daughter of mine.
Okay, I love it. I want to bottle this up. It's so beautiful. Friends, we're going to rise for Elenu. And Max, would you lead your family in opening the ark, please, for us for Elenu? Come on up, everybody. And family, go on up with them. We're going to face the ark together. Page
40.
40.
Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon hakol, la'atzit gedula le'otzer bereshit, shelo asadu kigoyei ha'aratzot, ve'lo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, ve'gor aleinu kechol hamunam, va'anachnu korhim, u'mishtachavim u'modim, לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו
close the ark together. Okay, family to the bima. Everyone can be seated, please. Sammy, we believe that the Jewish generations who are no longer with us on this earth are here with us today and smiling because of what you're doing, because of who you are and where you're leading us. Friends, you'll find Mourner's Kaddish on page 41. This is the prayer that we say to honor those who we have loved to have passed at particular times of the year related to today. If you are in the Shloshim period of mourning, the first 30 days after a loved one's passing, we invite you to rise and be recognized either here in the sanctuary or in your home. If you're in the first year of mourning a loved one's passing, we ask you to rise now to be recognized. Please remain standing. If you are commemorating the yahrzeit, the death anniversary of a loved one's passing this Shabbat, we ask you to rise now. And if it is your custom to rise in solidarity, as it is here at Temple Emanu-El, either for those who have no one to say Kaddish for them or for the 6 million who perished in the Shoah, we ask you to rise now. Page 41. Yit Gadav Yit Gadash Shmei Rabbah, Ve'omad Yivrach Hirotei, Ve'yamlich Machutei, V'chayechon V'yomechon V'chayedecho Beit Yisrael, V'galav Yizman Kari V'imru Amen. Ehei Shmei Rabbah Mevarach Le'olam Ulamei Almaya. Yit Barach V'yish Tabach V'yit Pa'ar V'yit Tremon V'yit Naseh. Vita Dar Vita La Vita La Shmei Dekucha B'richu. La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbachata v'nechamata. Dami ram be'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehei shlam araba min Shemaya. V'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Osei shalom b'imru mav. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen.
Oseh shalom b'imru hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'imru hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael
Amen. May their memories be a blessing. Okay, family, shift to your left, please, and you'll see the Havdalah accoutrements. Friends, if you'll rise, please. Jews start Shabbat by lighting candles. Phil, if you'll light the Havdalah candle, which you'll see isn't really just a candle. It's intersecting wicks, 5 or 6 of them, which makes not a candle, but a torch. So if you'll light that on up. And Sammy, we're going to have you hold the Kiddush cup. You see it down there? And Erica, we're going to have you hold the spices. We're going to bring our full senses into this as we say goodbye to Shabbat with Havdalah, our separation.
Baruch פורש לכל, חטאותינו הוא ימחול. זרענו וכספנו ירבה כחול, וככוכבים בלילה.
Okay, so Phil, please extinguish the candle into the wine. Dip it right in.
Shavuot Tov, 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 Shavuot Tov. Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu, Eliyahu Hagiladi.
Simin Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Simin Tov, Simin Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Simin Tov, Simin Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Simin Tov. Yehelanu, 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 Uvechol Yisrael. Yehelanu, Yehelanu, Uvechol Yisrael. Yehelanu, Yehelanu,
Uvechol Yisrael.
Yehelanu, Yehelanu,
Uvechol Yisrael.
Mazel Tov, everybody. Shavua Tov, Mazel Tov. Phil, do you want to give instructions to folks, or?
Thank you all so much for being here. It really means the world to us. Just some logistics for those coming to the after party. Those riding with my Uncle Lenny. Len, if you'd raise your hand. Yep, he's got the 15-car party shuttle. So we got Sammy's friends riding in there. And we're heading to the Sinesta where the hotel is. And the dinner detective starts at 7:30. Not sure yet. Okay? Really can't thank you all enough for being here. We love you all so much.
Congratulations, guys. Congratulations, Sammy. Congratulations. How do you feel?